Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bama Standard, your number one source for Alabama football and Alabama legends. And we are live right now. I'm your host, over-the-hook powerlifter and new state record holder in deadlift for Mississippi and Bama grad, Justin Riley. With me, as always, is a living legend, all-SEC linebacker, a man whose name will be forever etched in the history books of Bryant-Denny Stadium, Marvin Constant. And senior analyst of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, Mr. Stephen M. Smith. What's going on, fellas?
It's a pleasure as always. This is going to be a good one.
We
like to crack jokes on quarterbacks.
We here.
Hey, man.
We here, baby.
He's used to abuse, but before we get to him, we got to introduce him. The greatest hype man in the business, Stephen M. Smith. If you would, take on microphone and introduce our guest.
I'm going to tell you this right now. When you talk about one of the greatest quarterbacks I've had the joy of watching, this guy came from Hoover, y'all, where two-a-days was invented on MTV. And after he balled out in Hoover, he took himself to the University of Alabama, where he set every record known to mankind at quarterback. Then this same brother in 2008 started the foundation of these national championships. I'm talking about the man with the best hair right now, JPW, John freaking Parker Wilson is in the building. Yeah.
Wow. JP, did it feel like you entered into a WWE ring with that?
I don't know, but I want to travel with him everywhere I go. I mean, he's gonna be part of the crew now. I love that. That is freaking sweet right there.
Surprised he didn't need his inhaler.
I was about to ask, man, did you take a puff? Because it sounded like we were about to lose you for a second, man. But
no, I'm good. Okay. Real good.
Okay. Hey, speaking of those 2 days, man, are you kind of upset that you didn't get in on that action, man?
No, not at all. Not one bit. That was, thank goodness, after I left. So
yeah,
my brother Ross was actually, like one of the stars of the show. So I was. It was a good thing that was taking place when I was going, because it was literally like cameras all day, everywhere you go. It's tough for a high school kid. So I'm glad I didn't have to deal with all that mess.
But just before all the two-a-days and everything else, there was this team called Central Tuscaloosa that ran the state of Alabama. And we had to play Hoover. I think it was in the semi of the quarterfinals of the playoffs. They had their new school, their pretty fancy stadium. You probably were in middle school at the time, maybe elementary school. But instead of playing us at their school, they said, we're going to play the mighty Central Tuscaloosa at the Hoover Met. It was 35-0 so fast. I'm like, this what y'all call us up here for? We beat the brakes off Hoover.
It happens.
Well, let's end the debate right now. So Hoover, the best Hoover squad versus the best Central squad. Who wins? JP, I'll let you start that debate off.
I don't know.
Okay.
We had some pretty good players back. Probably my junior year we were pretty good. We had some really good guys on defense. Chad Jackson ended up going to Florida, played in the NFL for, 4 or 5 years. So I would take that squad right there with me and Chad. We had a guy named Curtis Dawson at linebacker who was just a man eater. I mean, that guy was awesome. And then we had probably, 8 or 9, 10 guys that went out and played in college. So that was the old Rush Probst days right there in Hoover, because, hey, you're right. Back before – 2000, we were not very good. Hoover was not a very good program, but we were able to turn around. And Chad Jackson, that guy was just he was a special guy out there playing wide receiver. 4'6'5", probably weighed 220. So he's going against little bitty DBs, and it was kind of like my motto when I got to Alabama. My senior year when Julio came, it was when in doubt, throw to Julio. It was kind of the same way in high school. When in doubt, throw to Chad.
Well, I'll tell you this. My junior year, that team, we were the number 4 team in the country. That was the same team that dismantled Hoover. I kid you not. You looked at.
It must have been the peak, because when we were playing, it was LeRon McClain, Terry Jones.
No, see, you're talking about
County High kind of took the throne, the best team in Tuscaloosa.
That's because the city of Tuscaloosa decided to separate the two. But if you look at that team, you had Robert Branch at one defensive tackle, ended up going to Alabama, transferred, ended up playing for the Cleveland Browns. You had Terry Jones at defensive end, played for the Baltimore Ravens with the Alabama. I was a linebacker. Behind me, you had Jason Jones, who's Indiana's defensive back coach, who went to Alabama. Kel Bailey, who went to Alabama. Brandon Washington went to LSU. BJ Dean went to Florida State. I mean, that's just a few. Myron Monroe went to Troy. That's just part of that defense.
Hey, Stephen M. Smith, you got a compliment, man. New Jack says, I love Stephen M. Smith. He could be Eli Gold or Feinbaum.
He got too much hair.
I'm not going to put myself. I'm not going to put myself in the category of neither of those two. Eli Gold is a legend, and Feinbaum is Feinbaum.
Hey, speaking of legend, we have one that just arrived in diva-like fashion late.
Hey. Mr. Pruitt.
What's up?
What's going on? Before you even get started, I had to explain to Mr. John Parker Wilson here about that 96 Central High School team and how we destroyed Hoover at the Hoover Met, and they didn't want no parts in that team.
I was listening, and you're not going to get me involved in that right there. All I know is that Marvin, y'all would have kicked our butts, and let me just leave it at that. How about that? Y'all would have kicked Oxford's butt, Marvin. So let's just leave it at that.
But you know what's funny? After we beat Hoover, we played Oxford in the next round of the playoffs, and we beat them. You remember that running back we had, Antonio Williams?
Oh, yeah.
He was dragging Darius, and me and Darius we laugh about that to this day, about that one play.
Well, let me just say this. JP, we didn't play many quarterbacks that were 6'2". We were all most of our guys were like 5'8", 5'9". So I wasn't even trying to compete with the Hoovers and the Centrals of the world. I was just happy that we got out with the state championship my senior year. That goes to show my age right there.
Where did you play? Where'd you play high school ball?
I played at Oxford.
Okay.
Now,
The
JehJeh.
pride of Jacksonville State.
Now, JehJeh, my country high school, we would just have to be on the field. That's it.
Right.
We were.
You mean the pastor y'all playing in?
All right, Marvin.
Marion County, man.
What
Keep
I'm
on,
saying
Marvin.
is I didn't want any part of Central or Hoover when I was growing up. Hoover wasn't even around when I was growing up, but I have seen JP play in high school and college. I've seen Marvin play in high school and college. I didn't want any part of either one of them. So let's just leave it at that.
I hear you, man. Well, something we definitely want to be a part of is our first segment, and that's Constance Chaos, where Marvin airs out his frustrations on whatever is going on in the world this week. Marvin, what you got?
Hey, hold on, Marvin. Get you a good yell in first. Scream one time. Scream real loud.
Listen, man, I am really worried about the state of college football at this point. You know, everybody said, pay the players, pay the players, pay the players. I was an advocate for that. Now you got seniors in high school skipping out. You have colleges jumping ship from one conference to another because they want to play with the conference where they know the kid's going to get the most exposure. Where is college football going? You can't tell me that NIL deal did not serve as a wake-up call to the entire nation. And then when you see Texas and Oklahoma leave, where does that leave college football? I mean, are they really going to just be 3 or 4 major conferences and everybody else falls to the wayside? What does that do to the bowl system? Because you only have so many teams per conference that go to bowl games. What's going on right now?
Who wants to weigh in on this first? JP, what do you feel about the NIL? And is it out of control?
I don't know. I think it's too early to tell. I think it was you know, they enacted it, I think, with the best intentions, and I think we'll see what it turns into be. You know, I think, you know, the example you said of the high school player, I think in Texas leaving early definitely changes things. But I think coupled with the NIL, basically the same time coming out is the transfer portal. I think that has bigger ramifications on what college football looks like than name, image, and likeness, because I think eventually it'll all kind of get shaken out. And we've seen some big deals from college players, but that's going to be kind of anomalies. But the transfer portal is something that is new. Something I know, Marvin, you definitely deal with that. You kind of went to a school, you were committing to it, they were committing to you. So I think those two things together are definitely what is. We'll see what's happened. I think the college realignment, it's part of it. We've seen it. Missouri, Texas A&M came at the time. It was like, oh my God, it was the worst thing ever. But it actually turned out to be pretty good. Like Texas A&M and Alabama are pretty good rival right now. And I think with Texas and Oklahoma coming in, new rivalries will be born. And I think it's good exposure for the schools. I think it's good exposure for the players too. But the name, image, likeness, and the transfer portal kind of colliding at the same time, we don't know. It might be great. But there was something special about college football, college athletics. We've all played high school football, and in college isn't that much far removed from high school. It's your guys. You go in there, you sweat together. You're in the locker room together. It's your brothers. It's your guys, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting how it plays out.
Can we give Missouri back?
Yes, please.
Hey, they're up and coming.
Yeah.
I know they got a ways to go, but I think I went to Missouri last year. It was during COVID. It's the first time I've been in the stadium. When we played there for the first game, it was probably one of the most competitive games throughout the year. Ole Miss was pretty good, but just regular season games, Missouri. I like what Drinkwitz is doing up there.
Now, my thought here, JP, is because you brought up the transfer portal, and it's what's kind of the most conflicting thing when you look at you want to go out there play and you want to get playing time on the field versus you sacrificing and want to be a part of a team. It's the kind of team versus self. What's kind of the most conflicting thing when you look at the transfer portal?
I think it's just that. I think, it's buying into the team, buying into guys in the locker room with you, but also at the same time understanding that, things change, things happen, circumstances changes, especially, I really like it when a coach leaves, like you commit to kind of a coach and a staff, and then they all of a sudden leave, and now kind of what's going on? Now there's 2 years, 3 years of rebuilding. What's that look like? So I think it does give the players, the student athletes a chance to go and find a better situation. But at the same time, it is about team, and it's completely different in the NFL. And I spent some time in the NFL where there's free agency and players change all the time, and there's practice squad, there's guys coming up and down all the time. But the NFL is a business. I mean, it is cutthroat. And I don't know, college football. Hold
on. Let me interject one quick thing, and then I'll let you finish your answer. And I want you to touch this one. You say the NFL is a business. College football is a business as well. So what about all the kids that get signed by coaches that sign them because they don't want to play against them? So they'll sign them to keep them on their team, knowing they're not going to play them just because they don't want to play against them.
I don't think that happens as much now with a scholarship reduction. You got 25 guys, so there's a max amount of people. But I think it is top heavy right now. You get Alabama and Clemson and Ole Miss getting the players. So I think there is kind of a that's kind of salary cap, right? You can't go out and get 55 stars. You can only get so many. So I think that kind of works it out. But for those players, I think there are good things about the transfer portal, and that's one of them. Hey, you come in, it's not a situation you want to be in, you get a chance to go somewhere else.
You know what? I just thought about something, guys. I just foreseen another problem that's going to come that nobody's probably even thought about. You're a top prospect, and you're getting these 6-7 figure deals. You can afford to pay for your own education at this point. So that will directly affect scholarship numbers. So if a team's at their 85 number scholarship, some of these guys, knowing that they'll get these NIL deals going to these bigger schools, can afford to pay for their own school and still be there. So you can actually float your scholarship numbers if you get these guys the right NIL deals.
I never thought of it that way.
Pretty good point.
Well, JJ, what are your thoughts on the NIL and then
Hold on. Has Marvin become a philosopher? Has Marvin become a philosopher now?
I just thought about it because you think about all these kids, because we played with some guys whose parents, could afford to pay for them to go to school, and they had other scholarship offers, but they really wanted to go to Alabama. So they turned down other D1 scholarships because their parents could pay for it. So now when you get some of these kids with these 7-figure deals, like Bryce, he can pay for his education. He won't need that scholarship. So you can give that to another kid. And who's to say these boosters won't give these kids NIL deals to help the school have more scholarships available?
JJ?
Just like Marvin and JP, I guess I'm for it. I do believe that athletes should have a cut of their likeness and everything else. I mean, when I played ball, I mean, we were vying for the same thing that the guys are getting now in the NIL deal. But I'm with JP. I just don't know if Pandora's box has been opened. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm glad the guys are getting paid. My cousin Jeremiah, who plays for Florida, he's already got, I think, 3 endorsement deals. Good for him. I mean, good for all of these players. Good for Bryce, who's got $1 million. Good for Malachi, who's got Milo's and the other guys at Alabama. Good for him.
Bojangles, baby.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I do know that probably Coach Saban has already told them to say, look, you can flex all you want to, but when two-a-days start, then it better be about business because you got 3 guys behind you that are just waiting for you to mess up. They want to play.
So that poses the question, and JP, I'll ask this. Is this something that Nick Saban can control? Because in the past, he's been able to control distractions and been able to keep them focused on the greater prize. But this is a whole new animal.
I think he controls it kind of like piggybacking of JJ. It's how you play on the field, how you play in practice. And the better you play in practice, that's going to give you more playing time on Saturday. So if you're distracted during practice, you're not going to get on the field. I mean, I think the one of the biggest things that Coach Saban always does is he plays the best guy. Doesn't matter if you've never heard of him, if he's a true freshman, or if he's a 5th-year guy that has no chance to go to the NFL. Like, whoever the best chance is to win, he's shown for the past, I don't know how long he's been there, 14 years now, that guy's going to get on the field. I think one of the things that college players have to learn to do, and they're just going to have to learn it, is, in the pros, in the NFL, you've got the season, and nothing happens during the season. It's literally just football. And then in the off season, you've got some OTAs, you've got some mini camps, but there's a lot of free time. So you can go fly to California or fly to New York to do some commercial. That's perfectly fine. You're on your own. You got plenty of time. But these kids, they got class. They still got to maintain their grades. There's a lot of other things going on besides just marketing deals coming to them. So they're going to have to learn to do that. But I think these kids, and I think any football player, hey, like this time of year, I haven't played in 10 years. It feels like August, like, okay, it's time to go to football practice, and like my life shuts down. And I think these players will get back into that of, hey, it's football time. I can do that other stuff in the off season. If it hadn't happened now, we'll pick it up in January.
So, JP, we heard Najee say in an interview saying that practice was more competitive sometimes than the games. As somebody who played for Coach Saban, I mean, is it really true that there was really no depth chart during the week of the game, and whoever kind of practiced or performed the best during the week was the one that actually started off?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, because you'd be out there and, there's so much stuff going on. If you've ever seen Alabama practice, they're using all the fields, and there's really players moving all over the place. So you might be with the first team one period, the second, the next period you might be with the second team, then you're going to end up on the third team field. So you don't know. You really don't know, and I think it's by design of not keeping them uninformed, but keeping the edge. And I think that is one of the biggest things. Not just Najee, but Mark Ingram talks a lot about it. Marlon Humphrey's talking about it. Like, you're going to get some really good guys in practice. And if you just do the right thing all week, then, you show up on Saturday and it becomes easier because you're going to, if you're Marlon Humphrey and you got to cover Jerry Jeudy. Well, he's one of the best in the SEC. Like, this is going on every week. It's just a high level of intensity from all the guys. Like, when you step out of the locker room, it's like, okay, this is work. Like, we've got to go out here and get it done, because if not, you're going to get exposed, and exposed really quick.
So,
all right, fellas, let's go ahead. Go ahead, Stephen. One last question.
JP, let me ask you this one right here then. So, Coach Saban has a very, I guess, unique relationship with all of his quarterbacks. He jumped into A.J. McCarron's arms after a game. We've heard how Tua kind of had him calm down, mellow out, so to speak. But how does Coach say about crafting these relationships with the quarterbacks?
I think I'll take it one step beyond. I don't think it's just the quarterbacks. I think it's literally every player on the team, and I think he makes connections with everybody, and there's a mutual level of respect on both ends of, hey, he wants the best for me. I'm trying to do this for the team. I'm trying to do the best for myself too. I think the level of respect is where it starts. And then I think he does a really good job of understanding different players. I mean, all 5 of us here are differently motivated. We like different things. We have different goals. So I think it's really connecting with the players and just understanding that everybody's different. Like, you can't coach every player the exact same way. If you do, then you're not going to be successful. And he's just been able, I think it starts in recruiting, of connecting with the guys, understanding what makes them tick, what makes them not tick. I mean, some players, we've all been around them that if a coach gets on them too hard, they're just going to go in a shell. But other guys, the more hard you get on them, the more productive they're going to be. So it's a connection level that he's able, to create with every player. He's been doing, I know, since I was there, and I go to practice to see it. So he still does it. And I think that's where it starts. It's like understanding the player, and what's going to be best for him is what's going to be best for the team.
JP, I want to talk about your first start, man. September 2nd, 2006, season opener, Bryant-Denny Stadium. We're playing Hawaii. Awesome game. But if you would, man, take us through the emotions you were experiencing and all the excitement you were feeling in your first start.
I remember coming out of the tunnel. We're playing Hawaii. And they're, the kickers go out first during warm-ups, and then the quarterbacks go out and receiver, or probably the quarterback and the centers go out, and the receivers come later. We start, doing routes on air, doing pat and go. But it came out, and the Hawaii team is doing the Hawka dance, and you've all seen it. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I getting into? So a little nervous going into it, but that was back with the Shula days, and he was really, really good of connecting with me, understanding like, hey, there's a lot of emotions right now. And he played the position. He was at Alabama. He played quarterback there. Knowing that I was a sophomore, like, there's a million things going through my head. So he just kept it easy, kept it simple. And it happened so quick. I think, that the younger you are, the better it is, because you really don't know what's going on. You're just out there like, and once you get your first completion, you're just playing football. Granted, it was in front of 100,000 people, but Sheila helped out a lot, just like calming me down, understanding that it's going to be okay.
Do you feel like it made it easier for you, dealing with the pressure already coming from a high school where expectations are enormous, and you just kind of transition right to Alabama where expectations are enormous? But do you feel like playing at Hoover kind of calmed you down a little bit?
I think so. I think it really did. But I think more than that, it was playing against guys like Marvin. Like there's a lot of good football in the state, like really good football. So you're going against really good guys each Friday, so you kind of learn what it takes to be productive in high school, what it takes to be productive on Friday, and in college, what it takes to be productive on Saturday. So the expectations were good. I mean, you can't really simulate playing in Bryant-Denny Stadium in your first game, or playing like, if you're Bryce Young right now, going to Atlanta on the road, playing against Miami. That you can't simulate that, but I think you can simulate the speed of the game. And once you get out there and you're like, you know what, this isn't that different. Sure, it's faster. Sure, it's more complicated, but it's playing ball. It's just having fun, and it just gets, the more you do it, the slower and slower it gets.
No doubt.
All right, JP, I got a dark question for you, man. Okay, I want to know what
Let's go.
what the one thing that you regret the most in college. Let me tell you mine. So I remember I fumbled at Alcorn State. I only fumbled the ball I only lost the ball 3 times. But I remember fumbling, and I turned the ball over, and in 1 minute and 6 seconds, they went down and scored, and we lost the game. What is the one thing that you regret, or the one play that you wish that you could take back, or you still think about today that you're like, man, I can't believe I did that?
I don't know. It's a really good question. I've never been asked that before, and honestly, I've never thought about it before. I wish I would have paid more attention in class. So that is a regret. Like, you spent 4 years going to school, and you look up and you're like, well, could have done a little harder. Worked a little harder in class. You know, honestly, I know this is a cheesy answer, but I don't have any regrets. I think we worked our butts off during the week, and my kind of process every week was like, work as hard as you can Monday through Friday, and then when you get there Saturday, like, it's gonna happen. You know, the other guys on the team, the other guys are scholarship players too. They're really good. We're playing the SEC, like, they're really good. So, you know, we lost some big games. I think probably my junior year, we were 6-6 in the regular season. And a lot of those games we should have won. Like, we lost to Georgia in overtime. We lost to LSU at the end. I fumbled the ball at the end, but I mean, never had a regret of it. It was like, but it took going through those, like, those you know, 2-3 point losses to figure out how to win the games, and we did it the next year. So I think you kind of learn from everything. Because, you know, my sophomore year we were pretty good. Junior year we were still 6-6. But it was just like, you know, everything built on each other. And even today, like, you know, we lost in the SEC championship, we lost in the Sugar Bowl, but I think you learn things from everything you play. And that's, I think, really the beauty of football. And it's a team game, it's a team sport. It's not just one guy, it's 10 guys. Sure, we could have made some more plays, but I don't, you know, I've never, like, thought, like, one play I wish I would have had it back. I remember the good plays. I'm an optimist all the time. It kind of pisses my wife off. She's like, you can't always be this optimistic about everything. But I don't know. That's just the way I am. Like, I always try to look at the good, and you know, sure, we lost probably more games than we should have, but it was fun.
Do you live in my household?
Can I?
No, I'm just you're so optimistic. Everything's not just gonna go right. There's not always a solution. Make sure she's not listening.
She's watching upstairs, brother.
But, you know, I think a lot of that has to do. No, I think a lot of that, though, has to do with playing at Alabama. You develop a skill set that you'll carry throughout life, you know, because you learn how to battle adversity early in life. So you don't feel like there's anything you can't conquer. I know that's the same feeling that I have. You know, when there's a problem, I'm not going to panic. Okay, what is it? Let me figure it out. Let's keep it moving. So I wholeheartedly understand.
Hey, JP, let's talk about that your junior season. How close were y'all, even though y'all went 7-6, how close were y'all to really turning that corner? Because I felt like had the ball bounced a certain way, we really could have had a special season.
Hey, man.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt at all. And I think the margin of victory, you know, with any game that we look at is so small. But I think we just didn't know how to win. We didn't know how to, like, put people away. We didn't know how to, okay, it's fourth quarter, like, we got to go down and score a touchdown. We get really close to kicking field goal. But I think it's mindset, like Marvin said, like, no matter what, it doesn't matter what the score is, what the situation is. Hey, let's go out and get it done. And that was one of Coach Saban's first things that he kind of preached was 0-0, no matter what. And it's easy to say that, but it was a mindset of, hey, this drive for an offense, this drive is all that matters. And the next drive after that is all that matters. So it's a mindset, but, you know, we didn't figure it out until the next year. I remember we went and played Clemson in 2008. We didn't know how good we were. Clemson was top 5. They had 2 really good running backs, and we were like, we had no clue. We thought we didn't think we were still a 6-16, but to everybody else, we were 6-16. But we went out there and dominated, and we didn't do anything different. We just had a different edge. We had a different mindset that was able to get done. We were able to carry that into the whole season. So it was just figuring out that, hey, we're good enough. We can play with these guys. It doesn't matter who we're playing. Let's go out and play ball and see what happens.
What happened against the Raising Cajuns, man? Y'all cost me a lot of money that day.
Oh, Lucy Monroe?
But
Bad game. I've kind of blocked that out of my head. So
I'm still.
What was it, like 14-7? I don't even know what the score was, but
It was something like that.
I lost
21-14.
a lot of money that day.
I think we were all.
You know,
I think we were all
I
just. Oh my gosh!
No, I have selective amnesia. All I remember from that was me pouring Sprite on the ground. That's it.
Hey, one thing I do remember about that was before, SEC Network and everything. So I'm pretty sure, from what I've been told, that game wasn't even on pay-per-view. It's back when you had to buy the game. So literally, unless you were there,
Yeah.
you didn't see it. So that was that's a plus.
Oh no,
I was there.
JP, no, JP. We did a full recap of that game on
It's out there.
Everybody in our viewing area saw the game after that, man, and we heard sound bites from you and other players as well, man. That was, oh my, yeah. It was,
Hey,
Probably
JehJeh, say it ain't so, JehJeh. Say it ain't so.
it was, brother. I'm sorry, man. It was because we were in just as much in shock as they were. I mean, it was crazy.
Hey, it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
We got a question from the audience for you, JP. New Jack says, JP, please speak on the differences between Keith Brown and DJ Hall.
Two totally different receivers. Just unbelievable athletes. Just, Keith was a track star, and was long and lean, ran really good routes, and he was probably one of the fastest guys I ever played with. DJ though was a guy. He's kind of before his time almost. He could split out wide and be the X receiver, be the number one receiver, and get open. But he could also come inside and play the slot. He was a big guy, big body, kind of like a Calvin Johnson type back from the Detroit Lions. So they were a nasty 1-2 punch. Literally, probably, I think both of those guys with their skill sets, I think in a modern day offense like we're seeing in 2021, they would be, setting all kind of records. But back then, the offenses were different, the rules were different. So almost a little bit before their time, but two of the best dudes, best athletes that I ever played with, especially DJ. Just the way he was able to use his body, and really, he was a really cerebral player where he could, a lot of times you talk to receivers that, they don't know every coverage. They don't know exactly what the defense is doing. But DJ, he knew what was going on. He'd be like, hey, that was cover 2. I knew I wasn't going to be open, so it helped out the receiver running a route behind me. He knew he really got it and was really smart. My junior, we threw the ball every time to him. He called, I don't know how many balls he called, but it had to be, 80, 90 balls.
I think it was over 100, actually. He set the single season record.
Yeah.
And think about that. 100 balls. I think Julio caught 80 balls his freshman year, but that was 100 balls when we ran the ball. I don't know, probably 60% of the time, maybe more than that. So when we were going on third down and we were in the red zone, it was DJ and DJ only.
Yeah.
Sticking with those receivers, DJ and Keith were great, but it seems like you established a strong bond with Matt Caddell back in 2007. Of course, that was very evident in that dramatic win versus Arkansas. Can you talk about your relationship with him that season and that dramatic win?
Yeah, Matt's one of my favorite. Ultimate leader, did everything that anybody ever asked him to, motivated the other guys. Unlike most receivers who think they should catch every single ball that has ever been put in the air, he was out there. He was like a coach on the field. He was coaching the youngers to get guys up. He, like DJ knew what was going on. But Matt was he was a good guy that could get open and know exactly what it took. He knew how to use his body. He wasn't the biggest receiver, wasn't the fastest receiver, but that was a good. I appreciate you bringing that up. We've been talking about losing to Monroe, so we can talk about a game winner in the fourth quarter, Matt Caddell. Knowing hey, the corners kind of slough off. I need to run my route 2 yards deeper so I can come over the top and run the end zone. Matt's as good as it gets. We had a special bond when we were playing. We still do. But he was one of my favorites to be quite honest.
I told him he needed to be a coach, man.
my point of view, JP, is just from my end. From the outside, why does Mike Shula get so much flack? I mean, he came at a time where you kind of had to hold everything in the road and not on the boat to get too much water in there. But when you bring up Mike Shula, it's like people say that was the locust era, that was bad times. But why does Shula not get the credit that he truly deserves?
Well, I think we've had a pretty good run since then, so that's kind of overshadowed. But I think you're exactly right. Like, Coach Shula came in a time where people forget that we were on limited scholarships. I think my senior day out there at Bryant-Denny Stadium was I think it was 8 guys. Mm-hmm. We signed 11 people. There was 8 guys left. So just thinking about that today, how many, we had 6 first-round draft picks. My senior year, we had 8 guys on senior day. So he was there that really, I think bridged the gap and was able to keep it together. He played there. He knew what it took. And I think you're right. I don't think he gets enough credit because of what he was able to do with what he had. I mean, not a lot. I mean, we just didn't. We had one hand behind our back. We were on probation. When I was coming there, we were playing our bowl game in Hawaii. It wasn't a bowl game. It was our 10th game of the year or 12th game, whatever it was. So it was tough. But I think, him and the guys there were really kept it going, kept everything going. I mean, it could have gone the other way. You remember they won. I forget which year it was. It was Brody and Roman and D'Amico won the Cotton Bowl. I mean, that was unheard of. We shouldn't have been that good, but we were.
Yeah, 05.
05.
Yeah. Okay, JP. So you have played on both levels, college and pro level. What is the difference in the speed going from college to pro? How much faster did you have to get rid of the ball in the pros than in college?
Yeah. So, I think the difference between pros and college is we play against good guys in the SEC, right? So we play against LSU. There's going to be, first round corner, second round linebacker. The safety is going to be drafted in the 3rd round, maybe a first round defensive end. Mm-hmm. Well, in the pros, everybody's really, really good. There's no weak spots. There's nothing. You spend all day working on football. You get there at 7 a.m, you leave at 6 at night. That's all you do is football. So all the intricacies of what the coaches are trying to do. As a player, how if I do have a weakness, how I need to defend that weakness and not let somebody expose it to me. So to me, the speed is obviously faster. It's not as fast as it was from high school to college. I think that's warp speed, right. How fast that was. But I think in college to pros, the difference is just the precision that you have to have. Whether you're a defensive end rushing the pass rusher, if you get your hand up, that left tackle is going to see it and just bury you. Or if you're a quarterback, in college, you have a window that you could hit it. You could be a little bit behind. If it's an in route, you could be a little bit behind, and you probably complete it if it's in the zone. But in the pros, the guys are so good that if you're behind, it's either knocked down or picked off. If you're that late, you're done for. In college, there's a greater margin of error, I think, than in the pros, just because it's an all-star team that focuses on nothing but football. So just think about all the guys in all of football that all they do all day is try to get better at their job, and that's what football is, or NFL football is.
Are you talking about in foot or inches, the precision, the difference?
Oh, inches. I mean, it is very minute on what's a touchdown or what's a pick six going back the other way. Knowing in the small stuff too, the safeties are better at disguising what coverages are running. So now you're a split second behind on what it's cover 2 or cover 3, or it's a blitz coming at you. Everybody's that much faster. So that just combines to being that much more difficult to get done. I mean, everybody's so good up there from the first guy to the last guy. Just the margin of error is so small that if you're late, if you're running back and you don't see the gap right when it should be, the left guard would tell you, hey, the hole was there. You missed it. Well, the running back, you were a half step behind. You got to hit that hole or it's a tackle for loss. I mean, it's that small of gap.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to continue to bring up good memories, unlike that Louisiana Tech debacle. And one of those, of course, like you said earlier, man, 2008, every game really was the prove it game because nobody could quite believe that Alabama was back. The LSU game was the ultimate measuring stick. Two names attached to that victory, and that's you and Rashad Johnson. Of course, we know what Rashad did, but I want you to talk to us about your game-winning drive and, man, sending us to the SEC championship with that victory.
Well, first off, the game-winning drive wouldn't happen with Rashad. 3 interceptions, 1 in overtime. I mean, the guy was on fire. I think, Rashad's probably going to retire in Baton Rouge just because he likes it down there so much after that game. But, I think we missed a field goal right before the end of regulation. And in college, it's tough. If I had any gripe about college, it'd be the overtime rules. I don't like starting on the 25-yard line. You're already in field goal range, But Rashad was able to get a interception. I think Jarrett Lee back at the end zone down there. So for us, it was like, okay, let's run our best play. Let's take a couple shots. Let's run our best play with our best player, Julio Jones. And if it didn't happen, then we can go kick a field goal. But let's at least try to get down there and see what we can do. So the first play is a slow go to Julio, 1-on-1, which is a slant and go. Basically, it was man coverage, 1-on-1, and Julio does an acrobatic catch, back shoulder, just to get us down there right to the goal line. But I love the mentality. I think Coach Saban still takes it today of, hey, it doesn't matter what it is. We're gonna go out there and run our best play with our best players and see what happens. And if it doesn't, he's got a backup plan for everything. But the onside kick in the national championship against Clemson, it was the best play for the right time. It doesn't matter that it's the biggest moment of the game. Who cares? Mm-hmm. Just let's go execute it. And that's that mentality starting in 2008, and you see it today. Hey, we're not going to take the air out of the ball and just run it because we're up by 14. We're going to go score more points until you stop us. And I think that was obviously a great play. We ran it in. I got the picture in my house of me and Nick Walker and Baron Huber's on top. I'm in the bottom pile. He's like, Dad, my son's like, Dad, what are you doing down there? What are all these guys doing? But it was Antoine Caldwell's in there. So it was obviously fun, but just killer instinct of let's go win the game.
Yeah, no doubt.
Another game that was kind of killer instinct was that Georgia game in 2008, where I think Georgia had Stafford, they had Nosha Marino, they had AJ Green, and it was JPW, Julio, and the gang. You go into Roy Upchurch, you go into Dog Nation and slaughter them.
Yeah, but that game to me was the whole season, and a lot of people come to be like, that was such a fun season. I think I think we were underdogs for every single game we played, especially going on the road against Georgia with Stafford and Noshawn and everybody else. So I think it was fun because we had no expectations of anything that was going to happen. We were just going out there and trying to stay together. Coach Saban brought in a really good freshman class. You had Julio, Kareem Jackson, Dante Hightower, Mark Ingram was on the team. I mean, just so many good young guys. But we just went out there. I mean, we jumped up on them huge in the first half. We weren't doing anything special. We were just, coming out with no mentality. They're sitting up here you get down 7 points, then you get down 14. That becomes stressful. We were just going out there and having fun.
Y'all had a lot of fun. Yeah,
I like how Scott Cocker said they're wearing black because they're going to a funeral.
Cocker was the best. He always got us going. My wife was at that game. She was not my wife at the time. She was my girlfriend. And she was there, and she got Georgia, stuck at the Georgia section. And her dad was with her, so it was her and her dad. And, she's wearing Alabama stuff. And everybody's kind of hounding her before the game. And then at halftime, she's turning around, having some pretty good locker room talk with all the fans. At one point, her dad told me, he was like, I literally thought she was going to get kicked out for just yelling at everybody, talking so much smack. So I wasn't here to witness it, but I'm so proud of her.
That's awesome.
All right, it's time about it. The Iron Bowl, no more, man. The veterans who experienced all that, like y'all played that streak and in a violent fashion.
Yeah, tell me your question again. I'm sorry, you broke up.
Okay, I was talking about the Iron Bowl that year. 6 straight losses. That streak finally ended. And to be honest with you, watching y'all play, especially the veterans, it's like y'all played angry, pissed off.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think that's a good
violence
word,
that y'all.
Yeah, because the week before we beat LSU in overtime, so we won the SEC West. We were going to the SEC championship, and basically from there on, if we won the SEC, we were going to go to the national championship. If we didn't, Florida was going to go. So the winner or loss of that game really didn't matter. But I'm not going to say I was stressed or worried about the game, but just knowing growing up here in the state, being an Alabama fan, how big of a deal that was, and knowing that like you have to beat Auburn. You have to go up there and beat Auburn. We had one more chance to do it, and we hadn't been able to do it the previous years, and it was just when you have something like that and everything is already done and we're going to where we want to go, because the first goal every year is to get to the SEC championship. Then it's see where the chips fall after that. But we were there. But for that, it was like, I think it said a lot about our team and kind of where we were going of hey, we got to go take care of business. And sure, there was extra motivation with Auburn there. But I think the way we went out there and performed, and it was 36-0 when we looked up. That was, for me, the most fun game that we could ever have. The most rewarding of going out there and just being able to get it done and to beat your in-state rival after we hadn't done it so many years before.
Without a doubt.
Another shout out, my man Nikita Stover caught a touchdown, so that was always good times.
Kita!
Hey man, that guy was a beast. He was a specimen, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, he's huge. Nikita, he's main out there.
Yeah. How much fun is it now getting to be able to be the voice, one of the voices of Alabama football?
I never in a million years when I was playing thought I'd be up at the press box calling the games when I got done. But Kenny Stabler did it, so he made the job really sexy and really cool. But to me, it's it's fun to still be a part of the program. It's fun to still be able to go out there and watch the guys play, watch them perform. I love, it's different being the color guy as it is going to the game and just watching the game and being with your friends and hanging out and having fun because, you're locked in your focus. So I think I get to see a lot more. You get to see the guys on the sidelines interact, like Jalen and Tua back when they were playing of going on and Jalen was starting and then Tua would come over and sit next to him and say, hey, this is what I saw. The relationship with the backup quarterback is pretty special. It can be bad. Obviously, that one was good. Tua would see the play and know that Jalen was looking at the right side of the field with his first read. So, Tua's going to look. So they're just talking on the sidelines. You see the leaders emerge. You see the leaders step up. You see young guys like Christian Harris, who got thrown into the role a couple years ago as a linebacker, now develop into, I think, one of the best athletes in the SEC. The guy runs side to side. So you kind of see the growth and the development of a young guy now being, he's going to be a first rounder. He's one of the best ones out there. You see a guy like Malachi Moore last year of coming in, kind of working into the starting lineup throughout the season, and then he's a freshman All-American. Will Anderson didn't have a sack last year, the first, 5, 6, 7 games. And then he ended up as the, best freshman, but I think one of the best pass rushers in the game. So it's fun to see the interaction with these guys, the growth and the coaching and, the coaches change over. And, but at the end of the day, Coach Saban's always there. And just the way that he's able to put his fingerprints on these guys. And then you get, you go to the NFL and you got a Mark Ingram or you got a Dante who's still playing. These guys have been in the league forever. Wallace Gilbert, another example of somebody who just learns how to do things the right way and has a huge career and is able to keep that going. Andre Smith, still playing. I remember playing with him. He's a true freshman starting left tackle from Huffman. This guy hadn't changed a bit. He looks the same way he does now that he did when he was a freshman. So he just learns how to work. And that to me, what I love seeing is these guys grow up and really kind of take on the same mindset that Marvin, that you and I have, being there. Of it is a mindset, and that's part of being at Alabama.
Now, Saban gives the players the mindset, JP, but my thought to you is, what's it like you being able to play off of Eli Gold? Like, what are those meetings like when you're in that production room, you're getting prepared for a game, and Eli's talking, and they're running through the whole sheet and whatnot? What's it like being able to play off Eli Gold?
Well, starting out was huge because I literally never called a game ever in my life before the first one. We played Louisville a few years ago. I guess it was 4 years ago now. So that was I had no idea what was going on. No clue. So for him to be like, dude, I've been doing this for 30 years. You're good. You know, don't worry about it. If you mess up, I'll jump in. And just like teaching me, you know, being a mentor on even like preparation. Like I had no idea how to prepare to call a football game on the radio and talk for 6 hours. Like I knew how to go play. I knew what a defense looks like, but it's completely different on just the way you even think about, you know, plays as they unfold, because it's different than being on the field. You've kind of got to think about 10 different things that's going on. So for him to obviously have the experience that he did, to be able to say, even how you think, like, what are you looking at? What's going on? I mean, to me, it was the best partner that I could ever have, just because he was able to teach me along the way and coach me, and he did such a good job. I mean, you hear guys like Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers comes in, he's like, not my job to coach this guy. But Eli, helped me every step of the way.
Wow.
Of course, one of the biggest off-the-field honors you can receive at Alabama is being named a permanent team captain. How special was that for you to receive that honor and have your block forever by Denny Chimes?
Dude, it's pretty sweet. Especially now that I got kids and go back and see that, and just be amongst all the other Alabama people. When you go out there and Joe Namath's there and Kenny Stabler, and it's unbelievable. It really is. I mean, you're out there in the middle of the campus with your hands in concrete, and to me too, being elected by your teammates. I don't think there's anything better than your peers saying, hey, man, you're our leader. And I love how Coach Saban does it. It's at the end of the year. Like, you got to prove yourself all year long. You don't try to be a captain. It just happens. Like my year was me and Antoine and Rashad, and we were in there all the time together, trying to figure out how we're going to be better, how to get these young guys like Julio to act right, to practice right, and to do all this stuff. So to me, it was the I don't know, the coolest, the biggest moment that I had at Alabama was being elected team captain.
Wow. JP, how cool was it, or how fun was it to watch the offense last year? You and Eli Gold calling these games, just watching how defenses knew exactly who was getting the ball, Devontae Smith, and they still couldn't stop it. And you're calling this every week. How fun was it to watch that offense last year?
It was unbelievable. I think from top to bottom, with Devontae, with Jalen when he was there, with Najee, with Leatherwood, with Landon Dickerson, like this was, and I think Sarkisian also, like keeping everything new and fresh and coming up with new ways to attack them. Like this offense never slowed down. And like you said, like everybody knew what we were trying to do, but they made it so difficult. And I think, you heard Saban talk about it a bunch last year of like, we want to remain balanced. Because the second you lined up in cover two or you put the safeties back because you wanted to stop Devontae, I mean, Najee's coming down the hole and he bust out an 80-yard run. So to me, there was really no weaknesses. There was no weaknesses in the team or in the offense last year. And I mean, obviously it was record-setting points and yardage, and Devontae winning the Heisman. You got Devontae, you got Mac, and you got Najee all there at the Heisman presentation. I mean, that doesn't ever happen. And Najee comes back, Devontae comes back, Mac's a new guy coming in, started a few games the year before, but just the cohesion of the whole entire group Going through COVID, being together without practicing that much, the way they were able to stick it out. And I think really, kind of going back to what I said earlier, like one of the things with the players, and I really love like Devontae and Jalen and anybody else that would score. Like if Devontae scores a touchdown, Jalen was the first one down there celebrating. It's, and receivers, they want the ball every time, but they knew like, I'm not going to catch every ball. I'm going to go block for them. And it was the group and and Saban talks about dudes like, this is my favorite team. It was just the brotherhood that they had that you can't make up. Like you could fake it until you get out there for 10 games in the SEC when you didn't practice and you get to take all these tests and all this stuff. You can't really fake it on the field. And I think everything showed last year with that team of what they were able to do and just, literally dominate the way they did.
Now, a second ago.
Oh, no.
Stage fright. He's all
freeze frame.
Come on back, Marvin. Come on back.
come on in the room.
While Marvin's doing his death stare right now, let me ask you a question, JP. What are some of the players? What are the names of some of the players that we should look out for this year's team coming up for the Crimson Tide?
Yeah, obviously, Bryce Young making his, first start at quarterback. You got to look at him. I'm really excited to see what he can do. Man, he had some great high school tape. I think he's a really dynamic player. Played really good in the 8A game. I think his vision was pretty awesome to be able to run the ball and to break down the pocket. We didn't get to see him run a lot, so I'm really looking forward to see him running. I think another one on offense, besides the offensive line as a unit, like that's going to be the biggest rebuild part of the team. I think Jaleel Billingsley at tight end. I think he's got a chance to be like a Kyle Pitts was last year for Florida, who's a bigger guy, who's really fast, who can play tight end, who could probably play, major receiver if he wanted to. So he's going to be just, I think, a headache from defensive coordinator standpoints. I think our running back is pretty awesome. Bryant Robinson, Roy Doug Williams, Chase McClellan. Those three guys, to me, I think are going to get a lot of touches and be very productive. Maybe not individually relative to, the number one running back in the SEC, but I think as a group, they all kind of three different backs who are all really talented. And I think they're going to work out really good together and help out a guy like Bryce Young. Young guy, we'll probably see him run early on to kind of get him going. I'm looking Will Anderson to see what he does. That guy is just, he's all world. Rushing the passer, Christian Harris, who's already talked about. And then, I'm looking forward to see Kool-Aid. I think, the biggest, Patrick Surtain leaving last year. We got Josh Jobs who's coming back. So we know how big of a deal, especially now with the way we pass the ball so much in college football, you got to have a lockdown cornerback. So who's that going to be opposite of Josh Jobe? Because that's a supportive position. But, I think this unit's going to be special. I think the defense is probably what I'm most looking forward to because they're going to be deep. Our defensive line is really deep. Linebackers are really good. You got the transfer from Tennessee coming in, toe that could possibly replace Dylan Moses. Then you got, you got Will Anderson, you got Chris Allen coming back. Like, I think this defense is going to be scary. If I'm on offense getting ready for them, I don't know how you tackle them.
Okay, here we go, Marvin. Here we go, Marvin. Here we go, Marvin. Here we go.
He's back.
They better be scary, man, because last year was disappointing to me at times, man.
There you go. So here's
Marvin. What was your question before you had your technical difficulty?
Oh, I think somebody kicked me off because I started talking about Pete. All right, so you were saying that the team was. You were saying how good the team was. Then you stopped and you said the offense. So were you saying that the defense was not on equal footing with the offense? And what are your thoughts on Pete Golding?
I knew it.
I stopped. I stopped because I was focusing on the offense. So I continue to talk about the offense. Look, Pete Golding, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have all my notes.
He will.
I've got it from the Notre Dame game. Let's see. Alabama offense was first in scoring. No, that's the offense. Hold on. Bear with me. First in the SEC in scoring defense. 19.5 points a game. That was going into the Notre Dame game. So we crushed Notre Dame. So it was even better than that. Look, I think Pete did a really good job. We never won defense in the SEC. Shut him down at the end of the season. Like,
Here we go.
it wasn't, and I think our offense could be like that last year. Where our defense was. There's some growing pains. Sure, we scored 50 points.
Marvin to go off.
They figured it out. You got guys like Will Anderson going. You know, LeBron Ray was hurt. We had new guys. I think he did a good job. I really did.
JP, do you see Marvin's face right now? Do you see Marvin's face?
I'm looking at him like
we had the best defense in the SEC.
I'm looking at him like, don't do it, Miss Seeley.
Marvin, hey, Marvin for the blow a gasket. Hey, somebody need to give Marvin my muffler from Tokyo Drift. Go get Marvin the muffler.
This is all I'm going to say. I think we were in a lot of bad situations at times. I don't think a lot of the defenses were called to the skill set of the players on the field and their mentality. Because like you said, we weren't getting a lot of pressure early in the season. And you know, as a quarterback, if you can't get pressure and you're playing all that man-to-man for a quarterback, he's got all day to throw the ball. So I think a lot of times we were putting our defensive backs in bad situations because they were out there chasing receivers. It seemed like forever the first half of the season, especially you look at that Ole Miss game. Okay, you can't continue to blitz and run man-to-man coverage if you're not getting pressure. Am I wrong?
No, if you're blitzing and you're not getting pressure, that's a recipe for bad things to happen. Because then you get your quarterbacks out on an island, and if the quarterback's not throwing it, faster than he wants to, they just sit back there and pick you apart. I think you're right. I mean, I think the first half of the season was terrible, right? But what I did like was the evolution of the defense and changing it up and saying, okay, this wasn't working. Let's quit beating our head against the wall and keep doing the same things. Then Georgia came to town, and then from there was no looking back. Like we figured out who it was. You know, you got young guys like Malachi Moore who started getting more and more of a role so that he could fill in for some other gaps. And you put him out there, now he can cover by himself. Like he was a freshman, but he was playing like a senior. So I think they figured it out, and it was not bold, but it was smart enough to say, hey, this wasn't working. Let's change it up.
Yeah, it took long enough. It took us almost losing to Ole Miss for somebody to finally say, hey, this isn't working. We might want to do something different here.
I'm going to say this because I remember they almost left Pete in Oxford that night.
Yeah, they did. He was going to ride home with you, man.
And Steven and Justin will tell you, I've been saying this since the first game of last season.
Yes. To everybody.
But see, I don't think he gets enough credit for the second half. I'm with you in the first half. It was not good. Not where we want to be.
Need I remind you of the Florida game?
What was the final score of that game?
We won by like 6 points. It was 50-something to 40-something. It was something high score.
52-46.
They scored late. They had a late touchdown.
And Florida's quarterback was not that impressive.
I agree, but he had some dudes throwing to it now.
Kyle Pitts and James Toney, that's it. He didn't have a running game or nothing.
Hey, JehJeh.
I mean, I don't know. You're gonna have bad games. We did have a good offense. I'll give you that. But I think, hey, sometimes
Pete needs some more tutorials. Okay,
he needs some.
Pete needs to go sit down with Nick some more and get some more tutorials.
Just accept defeat to this debate.
Marvin will not stop. Marvin will not stop.
I'm not even trying at this point. As you know, I mean, I've said my piece. I love Pete. I think he did a damn good job.
I know you're contractually obligated to say
I get no direction. I can say whatever I want. I'm just saying it right here. Here we go.
Well,
Okay.
See, Vegas disagrees when I have to pay them for these point spreads.
First in the SEC. You see that SEC right there, Reagan? So I don't know. To me, first is good enough, right? I don't know which how you can go.
Well, I like to bet a lot, so I need them to cover the spread. You know,
I can't help you there.
All right, guys, we're coming up on the towards the end of it. But before we close things out, I want to get to Stephen M. Smith's segment of the depth chart. Stephen, if you would, man, tell us what's going on with Alabama. I know that Nick Saban was busy over the weekend. If you would, fill us in on that.
Well, they were able to do the 18th home Habitat for Humanity of the Nick's Kids Foundation, the 18th home in Tuscaloosa, beautiful home. I was able to get out there, get some footage of that. A lady by the name of Jocelyn Hamner who had the home, and just so excited that the team was able to get out there and build and put the house together. They had about 12 players out there. A bunch of those guys were seniors. Henry Toto, Brian Robinson, Kendall Randolph, a lot of older players out there helping with that home. So not a lot of people talk about the philanthropy side of Coach Saban, but he and Miss Terry do an outstanding job in the community. And of course,
Steve.
Yeah.
So you didn't go out there and help them. You just went out there to film them building the house. You didn't actually build the tool and help.
Look. I wanted to grab the saw. Evan Neal said, "Get off of it."
Yeah.
And when Evan Neal said, "Get off of it," I got off of it.
Yeah, because if you'd have put in a wonder, it'd have been crooked as hell. Them damn glasses. Damn wonder would have been something sideways.
Look, man. I wanted to help. Evan Neal sitting here looking like Bob the Builder. Like, don't do it.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
Smart man.
All right. Before we close things out, I like to always give Marvin some time to speak on his book, how it's doing, some testimonials, but also how everyone can get their hands on it. Marvin, what's going on?
Man, the book is doing amazing things, and you know you can find it at number 440 PLUSSTROENG.com, 40plusstrong.com. So we're actually getting ready for my 42nd birthday. We got about 26 days now. August 29th is coming. We're going to have some giveaways and a bunch of other stuff coming up to celebrate my birthday, man. And my goal for my 42nd birthday is to be 235 pounds with 2% body fat. So let's stay tuned.
Dang.
That's my goal too, and I'm already past 42.
A couple of program notes. Those of you who are watching this program on the CTS network, tune in for Stingray Scoop on Friday, where he recaps the week in sports. If you have any questions for us or want to suggest any possible guests, email us, thebamastandard@gmail.com. Next week's guest, you definitely want to tune in for this. We're going to have very little room to spare because the 1995 Alabama defense, yes, I said the whole 1995 Alabama defense with some names like Dwayne Rudd, yeah, you want to tune in for that because they're all going to be here live next week. JP, thank you so much.
Talk some trash.
Oh, Lord.
Shout out to JP. Good job, JP.
Yes, sir.
I'll be tuning in for Dwayne Rudd now. He was one of my favorites.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't one of your favorites.
Hey, look, JP. So JP.
In that class.
JP,
yeah.
if you need me to come on the road, JP, to give your introduction, just call me. I got
Let's
you.
go. Come on, you're hired. Let's do it.
All right, Justin.
We got
Justin.
a month left before we go to Atlanta. Come on.
Hey, just one more question, Justin. Marvin,
Go ahead.
Will you give Pete Golding a chance this year?
Please.
This is what I'm going to say.
Oh, here we go.
So right now, because you know I got friends that played everywhere. You know, JP will tell you this. When you play college football at major school, you have friends that play everywhere. So one of my friends calls me up about 2 days ago. Says, "What you want something on the game?" I said, "Yeah, you call it. Whatever you want." He said $1,000. I said, "Cool. If I lose my $1,000, me and Pete Golding will never be cool again." Sorry.
Hanging on a thread, huh?
Oh my goodness.
if I win this 1,000, I'm gonna give Pete the benefit of the doubt this season. But if I gotta pay up, I'm not gonna be happy about that.
Well, JP, man, I can't thank you enough for.
Thank you, guys. It was fun.
Yeah, and thank you to Wesley Britt who made this happen. JP, if you will, man, tell us what's up next for you. For the Alabama fans who want to keep up with you, how can we follow you on social media and all that good stuff?
So my Twitter that I'm not very active on, that I probably should be doing a better job, is JP Wilson 14. You can be my hype man and my Twitter guy. Can you have me on my Twitter because I'm terrible at it?
I got you.
There we go. I like this. This happened quick. So, what's next for me is the kickoff in Miami. I mean, I got nothing between now and then. I'll go check out a couple practices and can't wait to see these Pete Golding. Maybe shut out the first game. I don't know. You never know.
Do it for Marvin. Shut out for Marvin.
I'm sorry. I'm nervous every time the defense takes the field. And hold on. But in my defense, I'm used to seeing the defense under Kirby.
He just went silent. Well, JJ, thank you for co-hosting with us, man. If you will, tell us what's up next for you. Of course, we can see you all the time on TV, but also tell us, like you did last time you were on here, about the Dannon Project.
Yeah, well, we're getting ready to kick off the 32nd season of Sideline come August 20th. August 20th. And the Dannon Project, my wife and I started it 21 years ago. It's the nonprofit 501c3 that provides reentry services to people coming out of prison. And we've expanded it to young mothers and fathers. And the goal is to stop the recidivism of people going to prison and to give them and let them start a new life. So go to DannonProject.org to get all the information. And thank you for letting me speak about it, man. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely, man. All right, guys. Great night. I enjoyed it. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
All right. You guys, peace.